Hello, Philadelphia! I'm Bruce Buffer. It's time for the Anthony Gargano Show!
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Well, happy Wednesday. This is a momentous day in Philadelphia because it's the eve of what we could see in change. It's a big day tomorrow, and that's what we're talking about. The eve of a monster day. The draft and Sixers game 3. Anthony Gargano Show brought to you by TrueMark Financial Credit Union. That's right. Check out TrueMark.com/PHLY or stop at your local branch to learn more about the credit union difference at TrueMark today. All right. So here's the deal. So tomorrow is a huge kind of day in the shift of the town, right? So obviously everybody across the NFL, it's always about change, right? It's the NFL draft. So it sets you up for the future. What about the Eagles? Well, yesterday, big news. Isaiah Rodgers reinstated by the NFL. So you get another corner to the mix. You also get a kick returner. He was very dangerous as a kick returner. Rodgers, of course, suspended for gambling by the NFL for a year. Eagles, Howie, trade for him, stash him, and now he's in the mix. What'll happen tomorrow night? Do I think they'll stay at 22? I don't. I think, like everybody else, you can smell it. You can see a trade. I think in the end, they're going to go O-line. I think ultimately the way the draft should fall, right? The quarterbacks, there could be 6 in the first round, at least 5 going in the first round. You have the 3 stud receivers. So right off the bat, all that offense, Brock Bowers, the tight end, all that offense is going to push, and the skill people is going to push the O-lineman down. Now, I don't think the 2 top corners will be there. I don't see it, right? I think Mitchell will be the second one, Kenyon Mitchell. I don't think he's going to be there. I think the value is going to be in the O-line. And so you could move up to the teens, right, and get your offensive lineman. Somebody can play guard, plug and play this year. And then in the future, if need be, you can kick him out to tackle. And I think that's kind of what's in their mind. I think that's kind of what is, kind of looking at Howie. Now, they'll take the best player available, and you never know how these drafts go. And, there's always wild cards, and this is going to be a lot of trades. And the quarterbacks make this draft wild, absolutely wild. Meat Locker final mock draft coming up in about an hour from now with Baldy. We'll go into it. We'll go the entire first round. But tomorrow is a day that will shape the future, right? It's, we talk about, the Eagles in the beginning of the 2024 draft, but also the Sixers. And it's a pivotal game 3, pivotal, right? And not just the series itself. We all know that, listen, do I think that this team is capable of making a run through Boston? No. They struggle to score outside of Embiid and Maxey. I think it's a lot to ask from this squad to make a long run that could somehow end in the finals. But look, we have this series. You're down 0-2. The series shifts to the Wells Fargo Center tomorrow night. We know the adage, which is the series doesn't begin, right, until a road team wins. And that shifts the entire thing, right? It shifts the entire series. So when I look at this Sixer team, tomorrow night is really about their mettle. They suffered 2 excruciating losses, including especially game 2, right? Yesterday, the NBA says, oh, yes, we messed up. Tyrese Maxey was fouled not once, but twice. He was fouled twice on that inbounds play. So, and look, nobody wants to hear that because that just doesn't mean anything. The outcome is the outcome. And it was a devastating outcome. Blowing a 5-point lead inside 30 seconds, right? Should have been a 6-point lead. So many things happened that could have changed the course of that game, and you should have won. But how do you respond? That's what I think we're all interested in. How does this team dig deep and shake off 2 tough losses, and especially that game 2, come back and beat the Knicks in game 3 on your home floor? Look, this Knicks team has just been tougher. They have wanted it more, and that's why they're up 2-0. Sixers have done a great job on Jalen Brunson and stopping Jalen Brunson. And it's been the others that have stepped up, whether it was DiVincenzo and Hartenstein in game 2 or Miles McBride and Mitchell Robinson in game 1, right? Like, they've had contributions from their role players. The Sixers haven't. The moments look too big for them. For all the role players, we realized about Embiid playing on the one leg. I mean, that's all been part of the narrative of the story. But who are they? I hear it from everybody, right? You read it on social media. They're soft. They're not big for the moment. They melt. They wilt. Pick any adjective, any synonym for that, for wilt. And this is what you got. This is what people are saying. And so here we are with the series shifting, and there's a chance for the Sixers to change that view. Now, here's what I hope. I hope that a fan base that resurrected Trey Turner, this comes from my man Georgie, one of our great listeners. He's like, if we can resurrect Trey Turner, then we can resurrect the Sixers from an 0-2 deficit. We know how that building is. When that building is loud and it rocks and it's as menacing as Madison Square Garden. And I expect them to come out and shake it off and win game 3. And then it'll all be down to game 4 to whether or not we really have a series or not. But this is really what's in their hearts. And it goes to Tobias, who got destroyed yesterday by Rasheed Wallace. We'll play that for you. All right. Buddy Hield, who has looked like, you want to talk about scared of the moment. He has just been entirely ineffective. Kelly Oubre, the same thing. And now you're on your home floor, and this is at least where the role players need to step up and give Embiid and Maxey some help. Now, let's talk for a moment about Joel Embiid, because a lot of people put the blame of game 2 on Embiid because of the rebound. Now, he's playing on one leg. I don't need to make Pollyanna excuses for the guy. All I know is when he's out of the game, their offense struggles to get good shots. His greatness, I think, is obvious, right? It's just obvious. Now, you want to tell me that he gets hurt year in, year out? Yes, you're right. You're right. I don't know the recourse, though. Like, I don't know the recourse. The recourse is not trade them because you'll never get equal value and you're just starting over. And it's going to be a long run until you can really start over. So you were here. You have Embiid and Maxey and a blank check to build the roster. I just think it's foolish. But yet there's people among us that can't wait to rip the big man. I got a buddy of mine, the Guru. As soon as the game was over and he did not get that rebound, the Guru sends me a text about how, are you finally ready to admit it? And that's the dark side of us. We're incredible fans. We are incredible fans. We can uplift like we did. We resurrected, to use the word that our man George said, Trey Turner. But there's the dark side. And the flip side is we want to be right. And so you have the Guru's idiocy coming in because all he wants to be is right. He wanted to trade Joel Embiid. And now he wants to be right about it. And that's just plain stupid. And I know we know better than that. We understand the game more than that. We're very smart fans. But sometimes the need to be right, pride, hubris, the deadly sins come to the forefront. And I'd like to see everybody put that aside and go in and suspend some disbelief going into game 3, and let's see what happens. Let's see if this home crowd can will them to the victory and really make this a series. Good morning, JP.
Buenos dias, cuz. How we feeling?
I feel good. I'm like tense. It's like it's the eve of a momentous day.
Yeah, it truly does feel like a calm before the storm in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Because obviously, big game 3, you know, we're trying to switch the momentum back to Philadelphia's side here. But the NFL draft, too. I mean, anytime there's a draft with Howie Roseman running the show for the Birds, like, you just never know what to expect. You know, you're going to trade for an A.J. Brown, get a Jordan Davis type. So I think right now this city is a little bit in angst. I think right now they're just, you know, biting the nails down to the no, because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Are we going to be down 0-3? Are we going to wind up with an offensive lineman? I know a lot of Philadelphia doesn't want to see that, but we don't know what tomorrow.
You think people don't want to see an O-lineman?
I don't think so anymore. I think that because of the fact that we've been running the same type of like, listen, we've been going through free agency, we've been going through trades to fill those cornerbacks, right? We haven't had a young cornerback. I love that we have this mentality of building a team through in the trenches, because that's where football is, even in 2024. But I think that people now at this point, they want to see that cornerback, and they don't care. It has to be one of those top guys.
I don't know. I mean, I like to think that people have a little bit more draft savvy. Like, we love our draft in this time. We love drafts. It's kind of what we do. So I like to think we have a little bit more savvy about it. Like, I don't know how it's going to fall. We kind of look and see the skill guys, the quarterbacks, the receivers, right? You understand kind of where it's going to fall. So there should be a lot of value. And the O-linemen at the top of this draft are those pillars, those building blocks, which makes this team so good.
Yeah.
I mean, like, listen, I like a corner. I hated the defense, right? Last year, and really the last 3 years, the defense was horrible.
Yeah.
Now, the Super Bowl year, they had a lot of sacks. I think it was a little propped up by who they played. So, but last year, watching that defense get riddled, the secondary get riddled, I'm with you. All right?
I'm on the lines where, I've loved Howie's big board. I think it's been working well as of late. I'm on the lines where I draft best available instead of need, because you've seen what's happened with Howie when he drafts for need, especially in those top rounds. It doesn't always look pretty. So I think if that tackle, especially like you just mentioned, top heavy with those tackles, it looks really good in that first round. If Howie's going to trade up, I'm not mad at getting those guys, because that's what we've been built off.
Yeah, I don't know. I like to think that people are a little bit more.
Well, let us know in the comments, guys. How do you guys feel?
A little, understanding. I mean, like, we understand how this is the land where Jason Kelce is a superstar.
Hell yeah.
Right? Like, so we get O-linemen. John Runyon is still a big deal in this town.
Absolutely.
Right? We understand
Jason Peters.
O-linemen, Jason Peters, Lane Johnson. Like, we respect O-linemen. So I don't think people would be in a state of depression if he grabs an O-line, especially a guy that you could plug and play, that you go, wow, I'll put him at guard, and then you kick him out to tackle if you need be down the line with Lane or whatever happens.
If they trade up for an offensive line, you don't think the city will boo?
No.
Okay.
I don't.
I think they will.
You think they'll boo?
I think they'll boo.
You actually
I'm
think
calling you guys out. I think you guys will boo.
They will boo?
I'm going to be happy as all hell, but I think this fan base will boo.
All right. Well, that's
I think
interesting.
they want the corner.
Maybe I haven't read it well enough.
No boos.
Possible. I don't think. I think we have too much respect for the position to boo. And by the way, I mean, I think most people like the recent drafts. Like, listen, I see the same thing. I'm worried about Jordan Davis, right? Like,
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
the Kobe Dean has not become the player that we wanted or expected or hoped, right? It's great, the all SEC, but now all of a sudden you go, well, not all those players are panning out. But that's the draft, right? So I would be shocked if they booed, and quite frankly, I would be disappointed. Now, everything's relative. If there's a guy there that everybody kind of wants, one of the corners or whatever, and he gets passed up, I just think he's going to trade up, and I think he takes an O-lineman, and I think people go, all right, cool.
That'd be so interesting if he trades up and like one of the best corners, one of the best linemen are out there, and then they go with the lineman, see what that's where I think like that could be the boo factor there, but it should be a lot of fun. And listen, how he's playing the past couple drafts, I love it.
There's no boo, dude. I can't believe you would say that.
I don't know.
A boo? No, this
Maybe the Eagles fans that I know. I don't know.
Days. Right? This isn't Jalen Reagor. Boo.
I think they're going to boo.
You're killing me. Absolutely.
Listen, I'm with you. I love the offensive linemen. I think that, listen,
you're saying
when you're
they're
talking
going to pop off with Ollie Pop. Don't forget Ollie Pop. All right.
I like that, cuz.
All right. Find Ollie Pop, which is the soda that's actually good for you at your nearest Wawa. I like the old school Wawa coffee cups are back.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful cup.
Yeah. Ollie Pop.
How do you feel about the Sixers in Game 3?
So I'll run it to you. Like I do feel like they're going to respond. I feel
so too.
like the Wells Fargo Center will be loud because that's how we kind of approach it. And I don't think the Knicks. I think it's a very even series.
Yeah.
I don't think like the Knicks aren't Boston. Like if this was Boston and the way they're playing, I'd say they'll probably lose, right?
Yeah.
But it's the Knicks, and I think home court matters. I thought the Knicks got, they wanted it more. The crowd, I think, messed up the Sixers a little bit. So now it comes down here, and it's the opposite.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like home court's going to be big, but I just want to see these guys play with some gumption, play like dogs out there. That's the big thing. And that's
it. That's a great point.
That's why the Knicks are up 2-0 because they went out there, they played their hearts out as a collective unit.
Josh Hart,
McBride,
Hartenstein,
Frankenstein.
Right? Frankenstein. Like, listen, DiVincenzo.
Those guys stepped
They
up.
they were dogs. Like they
weren't
wanted.
scared.
They wanted the ball. Snatch the ball, taking the ball from you. Like
those little things, cuz.
Yeah,
that goes a long way from winning basketball.
I agree, and so I do think that tomorrow night tells you a little bit about who this team is.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
I mean, I think everybody has this fear because it's been the same second round story and the same shortcomings. Yeah. So I think people have that fear. I think tomorrow night's an opportunity to kind of change it a little bit.
I'm looking for someone other than Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and let's throw Kyle Lowry in there to step up big and provide both offense and defense, but especially on offense. Because what we don't want is to come in on Friday morning and talk about the role players only putting up 7 points in the fourth quarter.
No, I mean obviously that's part and parcel of it. All right, let me ask you this because
Sure.
I was telling in my opening, I was talking about a buddy of mine, the Guru, right, who couldn't wait the 3 seconds after the game. I couldn't even process it, right? Like couldn't even process the game. I was trying to process the last 40 seconds, and this dude is like on me about Embiid. And I'm like, dude, first of all, leave me alone. I'm trying to process the game. Second of all, like, I understand the rebound, and I forget about the one leg thing and the whole, but you watch that game and you see you're only in it because of him. Now, on the flip side, an old head friend of mine from New York said to me, wow, man, Embiid is completely impressive. And this series reminds me of Willis Reed. And there's a legendary story about Willis Reed coming in, playing hurt. And he said, he goes, you guys are still going fishing, but, my respect for Embiid is through the roof. And this is a New Yorker, a Manhattan New Yorker Knicks fan, right? And then I'm thinking, here we have one of our own, and the guru couldn't wait. Now, I think that's all about pride and hubris. Mm-hmm. And all you care about is wanting to be right. And this insatiable need to be right is ridiculous. Yeah. It's ridiculous. And I'm curious about what you think. Like, how's your first reaction, Embiid?
Well, I think that one thing from your buddy in New York, I think it's easy to look at the situation from the outside looking in because they're not here every single game, every single week watching this basketball team, whereas maybe your buddy from Philly has been living through the moment he's been drafted up into this point. But yes, what Embiid does is extremely impressive. And the fact that he's doing it on one leg is even more impressive. I just had the back and forth with our producer Andrew yesterday before the show because he's one of these guys too. Like, it felt like probably should have traded him a little earlier. But like when you have
and start over, and I don't want to start over. I felt like, listen, I want a chance every spring. So as long as it lasts, let me take a shot. Next year, you're going to be able to build the roster. So let's see what happens. Listen, ultimately, it may end in a failure, but that doesn't change the guy is one of the great players in the league. That's just what it is.
But I think part of it too, cuz is I think people had this mindset when we went through the process that it was going to bring us a championship. But what Hinkie will tell you too was he was trying to give us a chance. And how do you get that chance? You get the big dogs like Joel Embiid. And Joel Embiid is here. And unfortunately, we haven't been able to get him to that point.
I see the same flaws, are the same warts. I understand it. I've lived it with you guys, right? I've seen, the injuries. That's what happens every spring, right? It's a rite of passage. It's a Joe injury. I get it. I do. I get it. But like the first reaction when I look and I see just ghosts everywhere else, non-existent players, is to just
that's where I was at.
Throw darts at Embiid.
He's a star player.
And it's all about, well, see. And my response is, see, you're stupid. Like, you have let your insatiable desire to want to be right cloud what you're seeing. Because you can say whatever the hell you want to say. The dude is one of the greatest players in the league.
Well, let me ask you something, because you lived through the 0-1 run, right? So now today, what I hear is that AI gave it his all, but he didn't have the right team. But back then, in the moment, were fans killing AI, or did they have the same sentiment they do now?
It was a split.
Okay.
Like the town was split on Iverson. And listen, he was an amazing talent.
For sure.
We always, as a city, we like the smaller player. We, for some reason, don't like the big guy. No, it's true. Like we do.
No, it really
we
is.
love the guy that looks like he's all heart. Joel's a soccer player, right? Like, let's face it. Embiid has a lot of. He's like Ronaldo, right? Like very dramatic.
Yeah.
Like the floor on the ground. He's like a mop on the ground, right? He's like a soccer player, and we gravitate towards. I see toughness. I see Iverson, right? But yeah, there was a lot of, they struggled to put the right pieces around him. But there was also, hey, he's a flawed in a game where the two guard, this is before the combo guard. The two guard is smaller. It it was just didn't work.
Yeah.
It didn't work.
Andrew.
And then there was the work ethic. And you can say what you want. Joel's like a strong family dude, right? Arthur, the whole nine, right? And AI was wild. I mean, he's fun, right? Don't get me wrong, God bless him. But he was wild, right? Like, Joel's not. Joel's really a family guy. He's that kind of dude.
Andrew, did you hear him with the soccer reference? We're influencing cause.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, you guys, like every morning we get in, and so Andrew, our producer, has on a Liverpool jersey.
You know it.
And every morning you guys just go back and forth, you know, whether it's the Union, right? Or whether it's the Premier League, because he loves the Premier League. He was talking Wolves. And I go, he was back when the Wolves were good. And I came in late on the conversation. And I go, what do you mean when KG was there? And he's like, no, dude. Come on, we're talking EPL. All right.
Well, it's T-Wolves to me, but I get what you're saying.
I got you, baby. All right. Fun show for you as always. The coach, Jimmy Lynam. And I heard Jimmy after the game Tuesday night when Nick Nurse clearly called the timeout. Jimmy was priceless. We'll talk to the coach. We love him. Jimmy Lynam coming up next. We will talk to the Big Brain. He's back. So Big Brain on the daily grind. And then the Meat Locker mock draft. 1 through 32. That's coming up. That'll be a lot of fun. And speaking of the Meat Locker mock draft, let me tell you about ButcherBox. Oh, this is the best ButcherBox. High quality meat and seafood you can trust. 100% grass-fed beef, free-range organic chicken, pork-raised, crate-free, and wild-caught seafood. Humanely raised. No antibiotics, no added hormones. That's the key for me, man, because you watch any of these documentaries on the food industry, you raise your eyebrow, man. All right, I got 2 animals. All right, they're 13, 14, and 11, and they're carnivores. All right, they love the meats, and so this is why I got my Anthony Massimo ButcherBox delivered right to your doorstep. Free shipping, always curated to customized box plans, a variety of high quality cuts, and look, an amazing value, exclusive membership deal. I'm telling you, you got recipes, whatever you want. I'm telling you about the convenience. And look, we're getting into grill season. So this is perfect time for you to dive into ButcherBox. You want your ButcherBox. All right? Now, I love it. I'm telling you. And it's cost effective, which is great for when you're talking about a family. All right? Like, that's a big part of it. Do yourself a favor. Get to butcherbox.com/PHLY. Use the code PHLY. You get $20 off your first box, your first meat box. All right? Join us today. Use that link. Again, butcherbox.com/PHLY and use that code PHLY for the exclusive offer. $20 off the box. And we're also brought to you by Rite Aid. Oh, you wake up today, man. How are your allergies? I know I'm sniffing. I know poor Julia, our executive producer, is sniffling. Like, it's allergy season. Like, you look at the cars in the morning, and they're green with pollen. And this is why you need Rite Aid. And you always got to love your local neighborhood Rite Aid pharmacy. So if allergies got you itching and sneezing and coughing and got that, dull brain or the brain fog like I have every day of my life, go to Rite Aid, right? Go see Marge or your local Rite Aid person like VG does on 10th Street. What I love about Rite Aid Pharmacy is that it's your local pharmacy, right? You need that in a society, right? You need someone to go to you trust. Like, listen, I got an ache here, or I'm sneezing here, or this med's not working. Can you recommend something? And that's what's great about the Rite Aid pharmacist, your local neighborhood Rite Aid pharmacist. All right, any of your stuff going on when it comes to allergies, check it out. Or vaccines, RiteAid.com. You can make appointments. You can find all your favorite goods. Make sure you head to Rite Aid. All right, now joining us, I love him. I watched him the other night, incensed. The post game show on Comcast Sportsnet is just absolutely must watch. Jimmy Lynam joins us right here on the program. What you said, Jim?
Good morning, my friend.
You were awesome Tuesday night, especially and you guys were great because the minute the game's over, you guys zoom in on the timeout and the refs looking at him. So it was great. It was immediate, like right afterwards, that you guys hit that fact.
Yeah, well, it was, I think it's fair to say it was the key play of the game. And to have it unfold the way it did. And I don't know if you saw the last 2-minute report, but
Yeah.
on top of Nick Nurse
The
not being
grab.
granted his timeout, there were 2 fouls that weren't called on the play. Maxey was fouled twice. That's
Yep.
by the NBA report.
Yep. But and we'll get back to it, and because I love the strategy of it, and I want to pick your brain. But ultimately, you got a 5-point lead. Should have been 6. You just can't lose that, man. And it felt like it just melted away.
Oh, no, there's no question. They gave the game away. And as I said, these games are, as you know, Anthony, they're very, very difficult to close out. This is not a 17 game; it's a 7-game series, and when you give one away, you make the hill a little tougher to climb for sure.
Is the moment? I mean, listen, you've been in that arena a million times. They haven't been good in a while, so there's a lot of excitement at Madison Square Garden. Do you think the moment kind of got to at least the role players? I mean, Maxey and Embiid have been sensational, but there's got to be help.
No, there's no question. I can't say, what the reason is, but that you need more from your peripheral, support cast. There's no doubt about that. If you told me, well, I think I said it maybe yesterday to somebody I was speaking with, that if you told me Maxey and Embiid are going to give you between 60 and 70, on both games, and you're going to guard Brunson the way they've guarded them, I mean, they've done a phenomenal job. The scheme is terrific. I give the coaching staff a lot of credit. And, the guys who are guarding them, it starts with Oubre, then Batum comes in. Tobias played him a lot. You can see it's a lot of length and a lot of size. So Brunson shot the ball 50, and I'm a Brunson guy,
Yeah.
huge fan. I think he's terrific, but he shot the ball 55 times in 2 games, and he's making less than 30% of his shots. I would have told you the Sixers are 2-0.
I know. I feel you. What's disconcerting is, especially when Embiid's not on the floor, the offense gets pushed out. Like they're starting their offense 30 feet, 35 feet from the basket. Like there's that stretch in the third quarter where Embiid was on the bench and it was Maxey trying to heave to get some space, trying to heave up 35-foot shots. They can't get into some sort of rhythm offensively.
No, that's obvious. Well, it's been a problem the whole year. When Joe is out, there's going to be a drop, I guess, in efficiency. Yes, you'd expect that, but not to the degree that it's been. And I'm not sure, how you can explain it. That a lot of moving pieces, as you know. Some of these guys came at the trade deadline, but plain and simple, they have to do a better job. I think this is fair to say that it's to the point that you have the 2 best players on the court. That's a given, Maxey and Embiid. And a huge percentage of the time, when that's the case, you're going to win the game. You have the 2 best players, but if your support guys are falling, short to this degree, I got news for you. It might not matter that you have the 2 best players. I mean, that's how drastic the situation is. And it's not just, I know Buddy Hield seemingly took the brunt of the criticism, but I'm going to put Oubre and Tobias right in the same boat with
Yep.
them. All three of those guys, you need more. It's that simple. Uh, they have to give you more if you're going to win this series.
How do you try to shake kind of Buddy Hield, maybe to jar him, to like how do you try to reach him? Because like I don't know that the quick hook works, but then he misses such a rhythm shooter. He misses a couple, and he's just been non-existent everywhere else on the floor. I don't know how you manage that, and you really need somebody else, right, to give you some sort of contribution. And you would think, like I thought all along, that with his skill set and Embiid, there would be space there for him to do something.
No, it's not a problem about space. It's a problem of putting the ball in the basket, and a problem of being aggressive enough that when shots are there, you take them. And you, in the case of Oubre and Tobias, who are creators of shots, they have to be aggressive and look to do that. And in fairness to them, Anthony, the fact is that you have really, two really star players. And we're not just talking all stars. I mean, Maxey is beyond special, and Embiid is the reigning MVP in this league. So obviously, they're going to get the brunt of the action. So sometimes, it's not easy. You're kind of spectating. You're spotted up over on the side, waiting to see if a ball comes your way. Uh, and in a way, I sympathize with that. But you have to get yourself involved. If it means doing other things, get out on the break, get to the offensive board, whatever. You can't just stand there and spectate. And then when a ball hits your hand, if you don't have it gone, I've had players say, like, Coach, I haven't touched the ball in like 4 or 5 minutes, and now all of a sudden I'm supposed to make a three. That's not the easiest role, but somehow these guys have to figure it out.
Sixers Knicks, the big story, brought to you by TrueMark Financial Credit Union. Check out TrueMark.com/PHLY. Stop at your local branch. Learn more about the credit union difference at TrueMark Financial today. The coach, Jimmy Lynam, with us breaking it down. Do you try to shake things up? Maybe go to Ricky? Like, do you give him a little run, see what you got there?
It wouldn't shock me if they get off, let's say, to a shaky start or there's a bad stretch in the game. If Nick Nurse maybe would go to one of those bench guys, Ricky, KJ Martin, campaign, just as you say, to shake it up. But I don't think you abandon your guys. At this stage of the year, you know what you have. You have to have a trust in the guys that got you to this point. And I
Yeah.
think you have to, reaffirm, Anthony, this team early in, the year before the Embiid injury. I mean, this team was literally on the step with the Boston Celtics in terms of best record in the league. And you have to kind of reaffirm that to your guys that, we're not asking for smoke and mirrors here. This is a really good team, and we have to go out and play to that.
Yeah, it's funny because you think about campaign and like he's played in playoffs, he could score. Like the only issue is you're really small if it's him and Maxey in the game. And
Well, you're
matching
small
up
with Kyle.
defensively.
You're small with Kyle Lowry and Maxey. It's not.
Yeah.
It's again. It's not about size. Kyle Lowry has really played well, and as a result, there's only but so
Well,
many
he's a good
minutes.
defender too. Like he'll grind you even at his age.
No question. He's been really a key part of this back run of the season, and I think he's played extremely well in these first two games.
Just to get to that last play for a second, because it's interesting from a strategic standpoint. So I get what Nick's trying to do to try to get a quick inbounds to Maxey, so you get your best free throw shooter on the line. There's
Correct.
also a school of thought that, listen, it's chaotic, right? You're under your own basket. Just call the timeout to try to advance the ball to midcourt. Where do you subscribe to that?
Well,
And
yeah.
also you got Kyle Lowry, who's a veteran who should have called timeout instead of lobbing that pass.
You just said it, Anthony. We don't have to go any deeper, okay? That if you opt, and that's the coach's prerogative. Some coaches like to try to get it in quickly. Some like to automatically take the timeout. But if you want to try to get it in quickly, then the guy with the ball out of bounds has to know 100% without any gray area that the guy you're throwing the ball to, in this case, Maxi, has to be wide. And I have a couple words I throw in there when I'm going over it, in practice. For this setting here, he has to be really wide open. As in parking lot in the middle of Wells Fargo, all by itself, open. Where you can and I go into my act where you can close your eyes and flip it, roll it, and he's going to get it. And Kyle made a mistake, plain and simple. There's no other way to say it. He has to take a timeout in that position because what he did, first of all, you bring the refs into the game.
Yeah.
They now there's decisions, and unfortunately, they made not one but two mistakes. That's by their last 2 minute after the fact that Maxi got fouled twice. You can't let that happen. If he's wide open, then there's no problem. He has the ball, he gets fouled. But in this case, Kyle put him in jeopardy. It was almost like a little football flip pass, right?
Yes.
Over the end line with two Knicks mugging him. I mean, that's an accurate
It was
description.
playing the Super Bowl with the grab, right?
Yeah,
It was
exactly.
Eagles Chiefs and the
Just be helpful,
grab.
guys.
Yeah, if Kyle were sitting here with us, he'd be the first to admit he should have
Yeah.
taken a timeout.
Yeah. How do you now look? The Knicks are going to muck it up. Tibbs likes to crash the glass. He's not afraid of runouts. Like a lot of coaches, you're going to want to guard against runouts. He just crashes. They did a better job on the glass down to that last second chance with Hartenstein. How do you combat that piece of it?
Well, I think you had to be a little more dramatic. They didn't just do a better job; they did an infinitely better job.
Yeah.
I mean, that was absolutely like insane that a team is able to get that many offensive rebounds in the first game. When you watch, I shoot a ball, I miss, you knock it out of bounds, so my team has another chance at it. When you count those kind of rebounds along with the ones that they actually statistically got individually, the Knicks got more than half their misses back in game one. Half. That's like impossible. And give the Sixers credit. They totally wiped that out of the Knicks arsenal in game two, except, as you just said, on the key play of the game. And they gave up DiVincenzo misses the three after the refs, botched and blew the call. And then on the miss, Hartenstein goes up and gets the rebound. You can't. You have to get that ball, plain and simple.
Yeah, I know. Uh, it, I, there's after that game, I received numerous texts, social media, the whole thing, and right off the bat, because I love Embiid, I do, and I understand about health, and we've been through this every spring, but I think I need to ask you context of what Embiid means to this team and what he's giving you. And I understand people's frustration in losing, but to pin it on the big guy, I just think is not right.
Oh no, come on! I mean that's absurd. I mean you're right. What happens? I mean, come on! I've heard you say it countless times. Is the people's frustration when you're frustrated? You're disappointed. You're hurting, and as a result, you don't think with your brain. You're talking with your heart, and they come up with that. They try to explain it. By the way, some things are inexplicable, but just Joel Embiid, come on! I mean, the guy's he's out there. I put him in the category of does he love the drama? Of course he does, but that doesn't to me in any way like shadow the fact that guy's a warrior. I mean, he's played in postseasons. Unfortunately, I mean, you can say he's injury prone. That's another topic. But the fact that he's been hurt year after year in the playoff, or can you picture an orbital fracture in your face and you go out and play? And oh, well, he had a mask on. Yeah, the masks don't stop elbows from flying around in
Right.
the basket area. And I really think right now that one of the things he's having trouble like trusting that knee. You saw the two plays where, he he went up and landed in what 290 pounds, seven
Yeah.
feet, landing on one leg on a repaired knee that had surgery a couple months ago. No, Embiid is a warrior. He's playing terrific.
I know. I mean, that's the other thing too. Like, you watch when he's off the floor. I was having this conversation with my cousin in Drexel Hill, man, and we were talking about how when he's off the floor, the offense it just stalls and it comes to a halt because first of all, you need the two of them together. You need Maxey and Embiid to work off each other. But when Embiid's off the floor, man, they just blitz Maxey and the offense just stops. Like that's how much he means, even on one leg.
Yeah, no, there's no question. And I think I thought he was pretty good physically at the beginning of the game. I think as
Yeah.
the game wears on, I think then the leg is not as strong. His conditioning obviously can't be where you'd like it to be because the guy missed 29, 30 games. And I think if they can get themselves in a position where they have a long playoff run, his conditioning will improve. But the topic regarding his level of play, come on, he's playing terrific basketball at both ends of the court, by the way.
Yeah.
And if somebody chooses to pick one play where Joe should have gotten that off defensive rebound, I guess you can do that. But I got news for you: you have no chance without Joel Embiid.
Do you think they win tomorrow? What's your
Yeah,
feeling?
I do. I think, and this is I'm saying this from a not a fan perspective,
Yeah.
but I do. You said earlier when I was waiting to go on, I was listening to you. Home court's a big deal. I think the first 12 teams in the playoffs won the home team won until last night. So that I think will be a big advantage. And the fact is, this isn't just me, but a lot of people subscribe to the theory, and I think there's truth in it, that the role players play better at home. So I think when you put the Philly crowd, those couple of factors in, and the fact that they should, I think it's a fair statement. I mean, could they have won both games? That's a given. I'm going a little further than that. I'm going to say they should have won both games. So, I think they win the next two. I think you're in a 3-game series midweek next week up in Madison Square Garden.
Love it, Coach. You're the best, Jim. You really are. You're a treasure. I love you, buddy.
All right, buddy. As always, good talking. Good luck, and we'll talk.
Sounds good. Thanks, brother.
All right. You got
The
it,
great
pal.
Jimmy Lott. He's the best. He's such a treasure, man. He's just a great basketball guy, like a Philadelphia guy through and through. Just classic. This portion of the program is brought to you by the Bet Park Sportsbook and Casino app. Download it, man. All the playoffs, NBA, NHL, baseball. All right. Make sure you have that arsenal and then all the casino games. The Bet Park Sportsbook app. And speaking of the Bet Park Sportsbook app, it's time for the daily grind with the brain.
Brain.
Brad the Brain Feinberg.
Hello, Brain. Good morning,
Good morning,
from your
Anthony.
hotel room in South Carolina, Charleston.
It's South Carolina. Yeah, I know it's maybe a little dark right now. I apologize for that. I'm in Charleston right now. I will say this, Anthony, a sponsor for the show. You should get Pepto-Bismol. For anyone who watches the Sixers play, they should be a sponsor for you forever, because what we just witnessed, I texted you, Anthony, this. I don't think in the next 5 years we'll see a more improbable, ridiculous ending. In fact, again, I would say the chance of getting a game like that again are virtually zero.
Yeah, just the ways it all happened. I was talking about it yesterday. I'm stunned by their creativity, their inventiveness, and how they lose games. Like
horrible.
I mean, there's been a litany of different ways to lose. That was a new one, man.
Well, Anthony, you play 82 games, right, to get to this point. I know it sounds so obvious, but the way my brain works is, it's not that I don't care about the regular season, but again, if they get the most ridiculous, unfair, horrible, tough losses, I kind of am like, all right, it really isn't a big deal. what really makes a big deal is it in the playoffs. That's when, again, like I go to like Nick Foles, right? In the playoffs, in those games for Philadelphia, he had a stretch in those 3 games where he was the best player in the world. For those 3 games during the regular season, he stunk. I remember that Raiders game. I think he played. He couldn't do anything, but it was irrelevant. During the playoffs games, when everything counted, it went well for him. Well, when everything was on the line, Maxey was sick, Embiid's injured. They're up 5 with 10 seconds to go, whatever it is. You can't lose the game. I mean, they're not good enough, in my opinion, to beat the Knicks 6 out of 7. I don't know, and because they really should have won the first 2, like Coach said. So now you're asking Roy to go 6-1. That's hard. I don't care what team. The Denver Nuggets would struggle to go 6-1 against the New York Knicks. The Boston Celtics would struggle to go 6-1 against the New York Knicks. And when you give away games in the playoffs, and you're not, and I'm not talking this is Boston against Miami where they're going to beat them either way. When you're relatively close teams, you can't just throw away 2 games.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And to go, 4-1, right? Like, it would be, it's a monumental task. Now, does the home court play any role in this? Like, you know how good they are, and we talk about role players showing up on your home court. So, I think they respond, and I think the crowd's nuts, and I think it's an answer tomorrow night. And then game 4 is kind of the series, right? Like, that's always, like, kind of looking where the series would be. Then if you just take it in those game increments, now all of a sudden you can go back to New York and it's 2-2. So you're not looking at it in this global way. Now, it's why they all say, hey, you got to look at it one game at a time, because the series is a living organism and it kind of changes.
When I looked earlier, it was yesterday, Anthony. I haven't looked this morning, but on the Parks site, and again, I say as Parks says odds and everything. I actually really love looking at the site because they actually have every single thing you could ever bet on in the world. So it really does have everything. And they had odds on, obviously who to win the series. And the Knicks were minus 400. I think that's what it was. So think about that, Anthony. You're basically asking for like a very good free throw shooter to miss a free throw. I mean, it can happen, but the odds are, and I'm a math guy, it's probably not. And it's interesting that series price shift, Anthony. Sixers win that game, they're probably minus $1.70, $1.60. Instead, they're plus 400. So think about that. They went from having a 20% chance to having to win the series before they would have had around a 64% chance. So that's just a massive, massive swing on just a few seconds where obviously they get the apology from the NBA, but what's that? No one's going to care about that.
Yeah, no, I know. It's a shame. And you're right. Anything stands out to you as a play right now? I mean,
in the Sixers
night,
game,
I think they win tomorrow night. I think that's.
I think they do. Look, the only way I'd be looking, and like I did say, I did like Philly getting the 5,
what's
and they
the
did
line?
cover the 5 at least. What's that?
What's the line on Parks?
I think it's 4.5. It actually opened at 3, which was way too low. And usually, with Anthony, when these teams are down 2-0, game 3 is usually, especially first half, where it's almost an automatic for the home team. But what's interesting again, and I got to ask you a question. And again, I'm many things. I'm not a homer. I really am not and I hate the people who criticize the referees.
No, listen, dude. This is what you are, man. This is you do it for a living.
I really felt like, and I'm not just saying it, and it comes across as quote unquote sour grapes, but I really felt like, forgetting even like the last few seconds of the game, which obviously we know what happened, but I felt like the calls, I'm just watching objectively. I felt like they let the Knicks do what they wanted to physically to disrupt. I mean, it was almost like, I don't know. I felt maybe I was watching basketball back in the 80s.
It's funny. I agree with you. I was joking around. I called it the Lufthansa heist, right?
Yeah.
Like after Goodfellas.
Great comp.
Like it was Lufthansa heist. Like, come on, man. But I can't sit and cry about it because the Knicks were tougher, right? Like, so
right. No, we see it the same way.
It negates, even though the officiating was clearly one-sided, it's not the reason why you lose. So you can't cry about it. That's kind of how I look at it.
I see it the same way as you did. It's like you want to kind of whine about it, but then at the end of the day, you're right. The other team was tougher, so how can you really do it? It makes you almost feel foolish doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
But again, I man, I was trying to. I was talking about with my brother. Like that may have been. I remember when I was younger, Anthony. I don't. Of course, you remember it. Remember the Fog Bowl? I don't know if you remember that game specifically. Like really remember it.
I remember
The Eagles were inside like the 20-yard line like 8 times and couldn't score. Like, and they destroyed the Bears. I think they had like 600 yards to 200, and somehow they lost like 20-12 or something. That game against the Knicks was just like, since that game, which was probably 30 years ago or 20 years ago, 25 years ago, whatever it was. Since that game, I don't recall a game in a big game where I remember just walking out feeling like cheated as much as that game. Like, wow, like the team I really wanted to win should have really won this game, and they lost. And it's a tough pill.
Yeah, it really is a tough pill. Let's look around the other series.
Yeah.
First of all, let me give you a lot of props. You all over Minnesota. You're like, Minnesota's going to win this thing. They're the better team. Yeah. And clearly they've dominated that series early on. Lakers, like the Sixers, upset because that was a devastating loss. LeBron afterwards even referenced the Sixers about the officiating, you know?
Did you see, Anthony, and I'm just funny because I actually had a friend of mine who I respect disagree with me on it, but did you see the Michael Porter, D'Angelo Russell play? Please tell me you did. I'm praying you did.
Yeah,
I don't know
did.
if you
Yeah.
Where Porter borderline punched him in the face.
Yes.
And yes. when Malone challenged, I'm like, he may get a flagrant foul here. What is he doing? Right. I literally was like, what is he? I'm like, this is maybe the all-time dumbest.
That's what LeBron was talking about. Like, we go back to replay and you don't see that? Like,
I mean, it was that was replay. Stevie Wonder, and Ray Charles, like, that's the foul. I mean, like that you heard. And I'm thinking to myself, coincidental contact, I'll tell you what, the guy who said that said coincidental contact, I'll do that to your face. Yeah. Okay? I'll punch you in your face really hard, and I'll say it was coincidental contact. We'll see if you agree. That was if you told me it was one of two things was going to happen after they reviewed it. It was either going to be no call, they overturn it, or he gets a flagrant foul. I would have made I would put every chip I have in life that it was a flagrant foul. I didn't think it was even a 1 in 1,000 chance that would be ruled a no foul. And I just don't understand. Again, if I was LeBron and the Lakers, I actually think that personally was worse than the Maxey thing, in my opinion.
Because
agree. I thought he literally
I mean, that's why LeBron
punched the guy in the face. Like, and how they go to replay and overturn it. Again, I don't like the whole conspiracy stuff. I hate that. And actually, if anything, you think they'd want the Lakers to win. So I know it's not that. But it's like sometimes it's like 3 blind mice. And I'm like, how can you mess that up when it's just so I don't get it.
No,
if I was Lakers, I'd be furious.
I completely feel you. Hey, just let everybody know, bradsbestbets.com.
Yes, sir.
Brad's Best Bets on Twitter. Nobody's like him. He wins at an extraordinary rate. He's ridiculous. So if you want all his plays, but do you have a couple plays?
Yeah, I do. I got a couple steal bets, which I like a lot. Anthony, these plays were both 55 and 17 for the year. And there's not, and this is factoring, their minutes aren't going to change much in these games. I love Drew Holiday under 1.5 steals. It was minus $1.62, I believe. And again, I think he was 14 out of 72 doing it. This isn't a Drew Holiday who was an elite stealer for the first 9-10 years of his career. He's now more of a 1 steal guy. So again, when we talk about these low numbers, Anthony, going from 1 to 2, that's everything. That's not just going from 12 points to 13 points. It's like a soccer goal. It's so hard to get a steal. They don't happen often. Drew Holiday under 1.5 steals, really good bet. And his tag team partner, Jason Tatum, under 1.5 steals, also been close to an 80% winning bet. He's going to get his minutes, probably not going to get the steals. Again, you do have to lay about $1.70. It's not cheap, Anthony, but I definitely thought both those were very well worth it. And I'll give you a baseball play, Anthony. Joe Ryan going against the worst team in baseball, the Chicago White Sox, over 6.5 strikeouts, 20-12 the last couple of years for that over. The guy has a great K rate again this year. I see no reason why Joe Ryan will not get 7+ strikeouts today.
Yeah, plus he's home. It's a great. You would take a look at what's the line on the game itself?
It's funny. I can't bring up right now the stuff. if without messing everything up here in my setup. But I'm sure they're going to be a bit. Maybe I'd look at the Twins with the run line. Although Crochet is pitching, who did give Phillies credit. They were the first person to hit Crochet and rough him up a little bit. But that's the one player on the White Sox, the one pitcher. I'm like, he has it in him to maybe have a decent game, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Thanks, Big Brain.
Appreciate
we
you, buddy.
Love you, buddy. We'll see you Friday.
See you Friday, my friend.
Okay, good stuff. The Big Brain brought to us by the Bet Parks app, Sportsbook Casino app. Bet Parks. I got it right here, man. Let's talk about the Bet Parks Sportsbook and Casino app. All the stuff that Brad gives you, right? Like, so he's on steals and he's on games, like the same game parlays. Like, if you're looking at the Sixers tomorrow night, I think they win the game. Now, I don't know if I would lay 4.5, 5, because it could be a closer game, but I do think I think they win the game. I think they come back and win it. So the one thing that won't change is, Embiid or Maxey. And so it gives you an opportunity, if you're going to build the same game parlay, maybe to take the odds as a Sixers to a pick, and then you mix in a Maxey or Embiid or both, some of their props, and then you got a nice, 2-to-1 kind of play. You can do all that stuff. You can play live in-game bets. It's a lot of fun. Win your first $10 sports bet and earn your $125 in sportsbook bonus bets. All right, and don't forget the casino. You have all the great casino games right there on the Bet Parks app. So during halftime, or you're watching these games, or you're having some fun, whether it's slots or live blackjack dealers or roulette, whatever you're into, they got it on the app. You play for fun. You love to win. You bet. Bet Parks. Download the app. Play along with us. Got to be 21 or older. Please gamble responsibly. You or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. Show's also brought to you by TrueMark Financial Credit Union. Explore the credit union difference. Yes, when it comes to financial all services, check out the credit union difference from a bank. See, with a credit union, you're part owner, right? So you're part of it. So that means profits come back to you, and that means better rates. It means lower fees. It means a better return on savings, more flexible options. That's the credit union difference. Plus, you get all of the tech, right? All the same digital tools, all the financial tech that we crave, that we need in 2024. You get that with a credit union. And what I love about TrueMark, it's got local roots, right? It's headquartered in Fort Washington, 24 branches across the Delaware Valley. They serve our community, all right? They're right here at home, man. Money goes back into it. They're investing in the community. Head over to TrueMark.com/PHLY. You can learn more. You can find a branch near you. That's TrueMark.com/PHLY. Federally insured by the NCUA. Now we go. It's 10 o'clock across the Delaware Valley. And, man, I am excited for this moment. Because we talk about it. In fact, you heard me say today when we were talking about the Butcher Box, it's the Meat Locker mock draft. This is the final mock. All right, tomorrow night, round 1 of the NFL draft. And joining us, the man, the legend, the Baldy.
Baldy, Baldy. Oh, let's talk some football. Yeah, Baldy, Baldy. Oh, he likes meats and football.
Oh, Baldy. There he is. Wait, dude, we got the new sponsor, dude. You gotta love this. Meats, baby. Meats. It's Meat
The Butcher
Locker.
Box. I love those guys.
Right?
I've been
Did
getting
you say you do Butcher Box?
I've been getting my Butcher Box every month for almost a year now. So they just deliver a variety of meats. I just put it in my freezer, and when I'm home, I defrost it and I just throw them on the grill. I've been doing it for almost an entire year.
That's the greatest. It's the greatest. All right, I'm thrilled. It's business. You're in business mode. And first of all, I was really happy about something. We both like Michael Penix, and I want to point to your sway in the football world, in the football universe. Like, we both love Penix, and you went deep inside the tape, and you've been illustrating about Penix as a quarterback, about what he can do, his arm strength, right? And I think you've single-handedly changed the narrative by talking about him resurrecting the Indiana program and playing Ohio State tough when he was there, and then going to Washington, and the receivers believing in him to stay and turning that team into a national championship team that went to the title game. I think you've helped change the narrative on Penix.
Well, it's hopefully people have just done their own homework. Cause what all I'm doing is just spitting out facts. Look, Indiana rose to number 7 in the country. Like, when has Indiana football ever been number 7? Ever? Lee Corso, go through the list of coaches. Tell me when they were last at number 7, if ever. I don't have the stats in front of me. I don't know if it's ever happened.
Right.
They had been number 7. They beat Michigan. I mean, that was a horrible loss. And they did anything they wanted to do. They took Ohio State to the brink. So he's elevated one program. Then he's had these injuries. All right. Kalen DeBoer, Ryan Grubb, they go to Washington. They coached him at Indiana for a year. They're like, come to Washington. They're 4-12. Jalen Polk, Roma Dunze, they're all leaving. They're all leaving. He's never been to the other side of the country in his life. He's from Dade City, Florida, small town in Florida, wasn't highly recruited. He goes out to Seattle, and immediately he rounds up the group. And he's like, look, don't go. Let's stay. Like, let's go to work. He takes his team. They're 4-12. They go 10-2 the first year. They're 14-0, playing Michigan for the championship the following year. They're 24-3. Kalen DeBoer gets a head job at Alabama. Ryan Grubb becomes the offensive coordinator at Seattle. Like, what in the world else can you I'm not even talking about he's the best pocket quarterback in this draft. And by the way, you still win from the pocket in the NFL. I don't know what else you have to watch. I mean, the arm is the arm. There's nobody that's going to dispute he's got the best arm in this draft. If you put any of these other quarterbacks in his office at Washington, I don't believe they go 14-0. So I don't know. Like, I think the evidence is all there. And now I hear, cuz, that he's probably won't even make it to 16 in Seattle if they were interested. That he's probably going to go somewhere between 8, which is Atlanta, and 13, which is the Raiders. And I believe that. I believe he's atop of the first round pick.
Well, I bring it up because you do your homework. It's about homework, right? It's about assessing talent, watching the film. There's a lot of draft people, but listen, and I respect everybody's opinion, the whole thing, but I don't know who's putting in the time like you watching this film and breaking down players.
Well, here's the thing, cuz I can do 60% of the work. I can do all the breakdowns. I can study the film. I can talk to certain people that I trust. I'm not talking to a lot, but I trust certain people. What I don't get is, what I'll never get is the medical on any of these players, okay, and how that comes out, because that influences it for sure. You don't get that chance. Like, we met Michael Penix, and we've talked to him. We've had him on our podcast for ALLCITY. So, we know his agent. We know the people that are kind of guiding him. So we have a little bit more information than that on Michael that I have on some other players. But honestly, like, there's a lot that you don't get. But but you do have to watch the tape, and you got to watch more than just the highlight tapes. You got to watch these guys drop footballs at receiver. You got to watch these left tackles get beat. You got to watch these defensive ends when they're not sacking a quarterback. So look, there's no shortcuts. It takes time. It takes a lot of time to do it. It's a grind, but it's a fun part of the process too, because nobody gets it right always. But you should own your mistakes, because in the mistakes, cuz you go, okay, what did I miss? How didn't I see that? Like that's, if you're Howie at the Eagles, why did you make these mistakes? Let's don't make it again. Let's fix it. What did we overlook? What didn't we catch? I mean, I'm up at the Jets a lot. They made a mistake on Mekhi Becton, and they didn't realize the type of mistake, cuz until it was really too late with the mistake they made with him. But they realized they made a mistake, and so you hope that you learn from that. You hope that you don't make that mistake again, especially if you're picking in the first round and you're counting on these players.
All right. Let's start it. This is the final Meat Locker mock. All right. So let's go through it. And we'll put it down. We'll see how many come to fruition. All right. And again, this is just for fun. So, but I do believe you have insight. So I believe in this Meat Locker mock. So let's start off. Bears is Caleb. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
No changes. Then what happens with Washington?
I think they take Jaden. I think they take Jaden. I think Cliff Kingsbury is the new offensive coordinator. He coached Kyler in Arizona, got him all the way to the playoffs, Pro Bowl player. He'll take advantage of his ability to run the football. So I think he'll put a good offense together in Washington with Jaden right there.
All right, New England. Do they trade it or keep it and draft one of the quarterbacks?
Well, I think that's a new way of doing business in New England. I think Elliott Wolf, Gerard Mayo, I think Robert Kraft. I think it's just a new way of doing business. They're not going to wait around and find their holy grail with the 199th pick. They're going to go quarterback here, and it's not a great situation. It's not great. It's not a great team around the quarterback. He doesn't have to start right away, but I think they take Drake May right here.
Drake May. Now, so the JJ thing, it's still going to be Drake and not. They don't because JJ's getting so much heat.
Well, no, I mean I think JJ is going to go. I mean we'll get to it. I think Minnesota's going to trade with Arizona, and they're going to take JJ McCarthy. So I think it's going to be quarterbacks for the first time ever. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay,
so Zona trades with Minnie, and JJ goes to the Vikes.
Yeah, they get their quarterback.
So what happens to the Chargers? Do they trade? Do they stay and take Marvin? What happens? You got Joe Alt, like you got a lot. You can do whatever you want. It's Harbs. What happens?
Well, I'm thinking about Marvin right there, but I'm also thinking about Joe Alt. You tell me the last great receiver, the last 6 or 7 years since Harbaugh's been at Michigan. Tell me how they win. They're not. I mean, Nico Collins went there. I mean, they have Roman Wilson this year. It's not. They don't win with their wide receivers. They win with their offensive line and their run game and the style of play. I believe he's going to take Joe Alt right here and play Joe Alt at right tackle.
Wow. Harms goes back to the big uglies. All right. I like it. I like it. So then you got 6 Giants. Now the G-men are sitting there. Do they go quarterback?
I don't think so. I don't think they will. I think they considered moving up for sure. They got jumped by Minnesota, who had more to offer, and so I'm sure that the conversation is definitely being had. The owner came out. John Mara came out and said, if you feel like the quarterback is the best pick at 6, and he's worthy of the pick, then you have my blessing, my green light to go get the quarterback. I think they wanted to get J.J. McCarthy. I just think they got jumped here by Minnesota in my little mock. So I feel like they're going to sit there and take the best receiver available. So I'll give them Marvin Harrison right there at 6. They need a receiver. I think they take Marvin Harrison with that pick.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Marvin Jr. going to New York, listen, you got to be happy there. So now you're Tennessee, and it's interesting because you need O-line help, bad in a bad way, but really you have a great board sitting there at 7.
I think Tennessee. Look, I know that they've spent money on a lot of different players, but I believe they'll take Malik Neighbors right there, and they'll give
Wow.
Will Levis. Like I think they're thinking about an offensive tackle. I mean, I think they're weighing it between offensive tackle, which they need for sure, and a Malik Neighbors type. And so we know who they've signed in free agency. We know the money they've spent, but DeAndre Hopkins isn't going to be there forever. I believe that they're going to pair Malik Neighbors here with Will Levis and start building a relationship with a young receiver.
Yeah, I love Neighbors, man. I do. I think if he's almost underrated. It sounds crazy, but you're getting great value at 7. I feel you. How about the Falcons who come in at 8? You know that team very well.
Well, Michael Penix is certainly in play here. He's certainly being considered for sure, and maybe even traded down with somebody to do it. I think there's major consideration there, but I think this team they need a defensive end, and I think Dallas Turner's been mocked there a bunch. But my favorite defensive player in this whole draft is Latu. So I think Latu goes here. He's the best pure pass rusher in this draft.
Wow.
I think that he reminds me a great deal of TJ Watt coming out of Wisconsin. His size, his bend, kind of a combination of TJ Watt, Max Crosby, his effort. He's an elite player.
Wow, Latu. Wow.
Yeah, Latu. I'm going Latu right here to Atlanta. I mean, I thought about Dallas Turner like a lot of people, and he's a really good prospect, and he's got good tape from his freshman year. But I think Latu is just a better player right now.
Wow, that's awesome. All right, Chicago. All right, now you're there. That's Chicago. What do you think? You got Caleb. You got Rome's there. Now you added 2 receivers, but a young stud like Odunze. I mean, or do you go with a Dallas Turner? Like, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking also offensive tackle there. Olu Fashanu makes a lot of sense to upgrade and just give Caleb as much protection. But I'm with you, cuz. I think this is where Rome Odunze goes. I think, they were just on a plane together yesterday. Just happened to be flying to Detroit together. And so Rome and Caleb were taking pictures together. I think you've got to give your quarterback, especially a young quarterback, a young star receiver. I believe that Odunze is the best all-around wide receiver in this draft. He's got the best hands of the draft. I think his upside is tremendous. I can see Rome and Caleb striking up instant chemistry. I'm going to go Rome here at 9.
Wow, look at that. All right, Jets. Now you'll be with the Jets Thursday night.
Yeah.
So you'll be analyzing Jets. They'll be picking your brain. Where did the Jets go at 10?
See, they could easily go offensive tackle here. They could go J.C. Latham here for sure. They could go Olu Fashanu. And they might not get on the field right away, but they're going to end up playing. They've got 2 33-year-old tackles. Tyron Smith, the left tackle, has got some strong injury history at 33. Tackle is certainly in consideration, especially Joe Douglas. That's probably the right pick, but I believe they're going to take Brock Bowers here. I believe just watching Brock again this morning, cuz you just give Aaron Rodgers everything. They have Tyler Conklin and Jeremy Ruckert. They've got tight ends, but this guy is an elite route runner. He's awesome after the catch. You just give the Jets every chance to score as many points. Just give them another point scorer. I know tackle is the more sensible pick. Aaron's not playing there forever. Whoever they end up, starting at quarterback next year, the year after, give them a young offensive lineman here. But I think this is all about winning now. And Brock Bowers probably is the best choice for here.
So I can't believe you brought him up. So Dan Graziano from ESPN, who you know, right, says he's hearing the Birds, the Eagles, have an eye for Brock Bowers. Okay. And that they could possibly trade up to go look at Bowers.
Well, look, I mean, Joe Douglas obviously has a great, relationship. I wouldn't say great,
Yeah.
but he's got a relationship with Howie and Jeffrey in that building. They would have to come from 22 to 10. I don't know exactly what that would entail. I believe Howie will get there, but I believe Howie is looking to make a splash. I don't have him moving off 22 in this particular mock, but I can certainly see how he's got pick 50, pick 53. I can certainly see him. I know Dallas Goddard is there, but I can certainly see him making a splash type move. This might be the biggest, if you're suggesting what Graziano said, that would be the biggest move I believe that will happen in this first round. If that would happen, I don't see the Jets. They don't have a second round pick. I don't see the Jets trading back to 22 to take a player. I just don't see him going back that far.
That's fascinating, man. Brock Bowers. Wow. And you could see how he do something like that. He said that a couple of the receivers could be in play for the Eagles, including Brock Bowers. So very interesting stuff. So Arizona is at 11 after the trade with Minnesota. So Zona takes.
Well, they want a wide receiver in the worst way, but they needed. I mean, the best value on the board here is is either Dallas Turner or Jared Verse. So I'll give him Verse right here.
Wow,
like that's the best value.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Like you're looking at him and you go, "Wow, Verse is still there." It's 11, and the way the quarterbacks and the way the receivers, it could play out where you're getting some great value in the teens, beginning at 11. Denver's up next at 12.
Yeah, I'll take Dallas Turner right here. Give him a pass rusher. Let him build the defense. I mean, the quarterback is certainly in play here. But I believe that if Bo Nix drops past Seattle at 16, that's Denver, even without a lot of assets, will trade back into the first round for Bo Nix. So I think they're trusting that he's going to drop, and they're going to keep an eye on it.
Does anybody else look, because you still, like you said, you have Penix and you have Knicks still alive. Raiders, is Penix going to the Raiders? Like, how do you feel it?
That's where he goes. He's going to go to the Raiders. I believe that Michael Penix Jr. is going to go between 8 and 13. Seattle has basically the people inside the building in Seattle are very interested in Michael Penix. His offense coordinator, Ryan Grubb, is now the offense coordinator for the Seahawks. But they don't believe he'll be there at 16. And so I believe the Raiders take their quarterback of the future right here. They need a tackle. J.C. Latham is on the board. Like that would certainly make a lot of sense. They lost their right guard and right tackle. But I also believe this is a new regime. If Al Davis is paying attention, and I think Al Davis is, like he wants a mad bomber. And that's what Michael Penix in some ways is. Like he's their Kenny Stabler.
Lefty, like Stabler, right?
The
like the snake.
Field. Yes. Like I could see him being Snake too, in some ways.
Snake too. That's awesome. Plus, we love the coach. I love Antonio Pierce. Saints.
So, look, they just fired a good friend of mine, Doug Marrone, an offensive line, hired John Benton. They fired their offensive staff for the most part, but in large part because the offensive line fell apart. Ryan Ramczyk may never play again. Trevor Penning has not worked out. They need a left tackle in the worst way. They need other things too. But I think this is a good spot for Olu Fashanu right here, 14 to the Saints.
Yeah, I could see that. Now, there's some good value with the offensive lineman here.
Yes.
Indy is at 15.
So they have Juju Brents, last year's second-round pick, at one corner. They need a corner. So, you could go Quinion here. You could go Terrion Arnold right here. I don't think that the Colts believe that if you ask them right now, if you talk to Chris Ballard on this podcast right now, Cuz, I don't think he thinks that he could have his choice of any corner. Like, I think he thinks a corner will go before they pick at 15. So then it's a question of which one do they value the most. I'll say Quinion Mitchell right here. He's the first corner off the board.
Wow. So you think Mitchell is the first corner off the board?
Yes.
Kenyon.
Yeah. But
Interesting.
it's close. I mean, Terrion Arnold's a really good player.
Yeah.
Really good player. And he's got a great, I mean, both those corners in Alabama are good. I think Arnold's better than McKinstry. He had a better season than he did.
Kool-Aid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seahawks. You mentioned them. They're on the clock at
I think
16.
they're just going to go send an Uber over to the University of Washington and go get Troy Fontano right here and play him at left guard. They lost their left guard, Damian Lewis, in free agency. They have drafted tackles really well, Big Abe Lucas, Charles Cross. They drafted Olu to be their center last year out of Michigan. I think they really complete the offensive line. They got two really good young backs right here. I think Fontano right here makes a lot of sense.
Now you got Dougie P and the Jaguars after that disappointing end of their season.
Yeah. I think Terrion Arnold makes sense here right here. They lost Darius Williams, who I thought was an elite corner last year. He went back to the Rams. I don't know why they didn't retain him, but I think they need corner help. They lost safeties as well. So I think Terrion Arnold right here goes to Jacksonville.
Then you got Cincinnati. So the Bengals at 18.
So I'll go J.C. Latham here from Alabama. I know that they went out and got Trent Brown and to go with Zeus, but Trent Brown has been around this league. He's had a ton of injuries. I think this is a good spot for Latham to come and just do their best. I think you could play Latham at guard if you had to for a year to get value for him. But I just think this is a spot where they have to do everything they can to keep Joe Burrow upright, for a full season.
By the way, this portion of the show brought to you by Rite Aid, your neighborhood pharmacy. Visit your local Rite Aid today. Stock up on allergy relief and catch up on immunizations for RSV, shingles, and more. Walk in or schedule a vaccine appointment at riteaid.com. Rams are at 19.
Well, they haven't had a first-round pick since 2016 when they took Jared Goff number 1. So they've been winning a lot of games in a Super Bowl without first-round picks. So it sort of feels like a luxury to them. I would have said if Alatu was there at 19, they wouldn't have even thought twice. They'd sent an Uber or a Lyft over there to get him at UCLA. So I would say, but defensive line is still in play here. So Latu, Turner, and Verse are off the board. They struck gold last year drafting Kobe Turner and Byron Young. But I'll say
their drafts are ridiculous.
Yeah,
I mean, Puka, how many late round picks? They're amazing, their drafts.
Yeah, Kyron Williams, 5th round pick. Both those players I mentioned, Kobe Turner and Byron Young, they were both 3rd round picks last year. So I will say Chop Robinson. It's a good spot for him right here. Get a young defensive end, kind of start rebuilding that defense without Aaron Donald.
All right. Steelers, do they go receiver here? You got Thomas sitting there.
It's a need. It's certainly a need. But I feel like they lost Mason Cole in free agency. I feel like Omar Khan, Andy Weidel. I think they have drafted Hall of Fame centers. Dermontti Dawson. You just go through the list of them. I think this is where Graham Barton goes. I know it's a little high for a center.
Yeah.
Especially if maybe Brian Thomas Jr. is still on the board.
Yeah.
But I feel like with Russell there, he's a 5'11" quarterback. Give him the best wall. Isaac Seumalo was gold last year, played every snap in free agency at left guard. Broderick Jones, a really good pick. They could go Amarius Mims here and go right tackle, but I feel like center is a bigger need. And I don't think they can wait to the 2nd round to get him. I think they could fix their offensive line once and for all right now. I think Graham Barton is the most athletic, and so that's where I'm going to go right here.
All right. Up next, Miami at 21. Dolphins on the clock.
Well, they lost Christian Wilkins in free agency. It's a big hole. They've got 2 defensive ends that are on the mend, Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb, from injuries. They could rebuild the offensive line, or they could go Jackson Powers Johnson at center and fix their offensive line and say, you know what, let's just be as good as we possibly can be on one side of the ball and we'll get to the defense the rest of the draft. But we're going to make sure we put up 28, 30 points a game. I think Jackson Power Johnson comes in here at center. They lost Connor Williams last year. Their offensive line was never the same after he went down. I think Jackson Powers Johnson, I think we get back-to-back centers taken, which might have never happened ever.
Yeah, back-to-back centers at 20 and 21. And now here he is on the clock. Ta-ta-ta-ta. The Birds, Howie. Now, we think there's a possibility they're going to trade up, but if they stay at 22, the way your mock is going, what happens? Where do the Birds go?
Well, they have done probably as much, if not more, work on this cornerback class than any other team in this league. Like, they've had them all in for visits. They've worked them all out, private visits, you name it. They've done a ton of work on corners. Somehow, in this mock, Fuaga is still available. Like, they could go and say, Taliesin Fuaga could go in there and start at right guard right now. Maybe be as good alignment as they have on this team. Play him next to Lane Johnson at right guard and make this thing the best offensive line in football. Or you could address the corner position, like Kool-Aid McKinstry makes sense. Cooper DeJean makes sense.
Wiggins.
Like, there's corners there. Nate Wiggins. You could go the third corner or Fuaga. But for this mock, I mean, I can't pass up Fuaga right here. I can't see.
Yeah.
I just can't. I don't know. Like, I took Latham over Fuaga in Cincinnati. I took Fasciano at left tackle. But I think if Fuaga is there, like, they won't even believe it. And I think all the work that they've done on corners, Fuaga goes here to Philadelphia.
Now,
or if Fatano was here, they've studied all these tackles. Stoutland has studied all these tackles. I think Tyler Steen's fine. They could stay there. But I think they just extended Landon Dickerson, Malata, Lane Johnson last year. They got a new center. Like, just make this thing, give Saquon everything they could get to give him the best possible lanes to run and give Jalen as much time to be able to figure things out where he could regain his form. I think Fuaga right here is the pick.
Wow. Does Rodgers, what do you think about Rodgers? He got cleared yesterday, reinstated. How good is Rodgers in your eyes? You have a corner here. He was very good in Indy.
He's a young player. He's a young, talented player. He's better than Bradbury. I think they're paying Bradbury $12 million. I don't know how that's going to work out, but he's better than Bradbury. Like, he's probably a starting corner for the Eagles right now. He's been humbled. He's been, suspended. Some of these guys come back and go, okay, they took the game away from me. I'm going to show those rat bastards, what I think. I don't know how much that's going to influence. Like, they still need a corner. I just think in this mock, and it's just a mock, you feel free to mock my mock. They're not going to pass up Fatano or Fuaga in this draft if they're available. So I think Isaiah Rodgers, the fact that he's cleared, you go through the offseason with them, I think that helps kind of ease the pain at that position right now.
I like it. I like Fuaga. I think I would go that route over the corners in that spot. All right, we got to move quick because we're at the end. Zona from Minnesota.
Brian Thomas Jr.
Dallas.
I'll go Tyler Guyton. They need an offensive lineman. They could play him at left tackle, Tyler Smith at left guard, figure out the center position.
A pretty underwhelming offseason for the Cowboys, Baldy.
Not according to the owner. He said, we're all in, we're all in, we're all in, and he loves his roster. Somehow, they had no money in free agency, so they didn't sign anybody. They took a long nap. Eric Hendricks, the only guy they signed. Somehow, they're in salary cap hell and still haven't figured out Dak, Micah, or CD. Like, it's just amazing to me.
Yeah.
Like, those things seem like they never happened to Philadelphia.
No. No, it never does. It really is. You're right. They have not perfected the art of kicking the can down the road like Howie. Green Bay.
I'll go Marius Mims here. Like he's
Yeah,
just too
that's good
big with
value.
talent. They lost a starting offensive lineman. They still lost John Runyon in free agency. Marius Mims, Zach Tom is a good player. I think they could get a great player at right tackle.
So here we are at 26. Tampa's on the clock. Bo Nix is still available. Does somebody swoop in?
Well, they could. I think, Tampa, I don't think will trade. I think they're looking at a guy like Darius Robinson. They keep drafting defensive linemen. That's something that Todd Bowles seems to enjoy doing. I thought Kalijah Cansey was really good for him last year. I think Darius Robinson from Missouri here is just a big active defensive tackle, 6'5", 285 pounds, takes up a lot of space, but good movement. Had a good year last year at Missouri. I think Darius Robinson right here makes a lot of sense.
All right. So the 27 zone is back on the clock. Do they trade with someone who goes and gets Knicks?
I don't think so because Monty Ossenfort, he's got 6 of the top 90 picks, and so I think this is where I think this is where Murphy goes. Defensive tackle out of Texas right here.
Yeah. That's another one, man. There's some good names out there. Then you got Buffalo.
I'll go receiver here? I'll go Lad McConkey here from Georgia.
Yeah. Who was hurt, and he's got a great sense of space.
He's just a great route runner. Yeah. He changed the direction, route running, hands, it's all there. They need a receiver.
Yeah. Lions.
I'll go Kool-Aid here. I'll go Kool-Aid McKinstry here.
Kool-Aid. I
think they need a corner.
I like it. The Ravens. So now it's Baltimore.
They could trade out. Baltimore could trade out here. What team wants to come in? In fact, I'll do that. I'll say Denver trades up here with Baltimore and takes Bo Nix.
All right. I like that. I like that a lot. And then the last two, your Super Bowl, obviously the Niners.
I'll go Xavier Worthy here from Texas.
Texas, yeah.
I'll go speed receiver. I don't know what's going to happen to Brandon Ayuk. Just put speed in that offense. Kyle Shanahan values that level of speed in his offense. Always has.
And then finally, the Chiefs.
I'll give him. I thought a lot of positions here, but I'll give him Ricky Pearsall from Florida. We don't know what's going to happen to Rashee Rice in his situation, but just give a solid receiver, tough as can be. Give him a guy that worked the middle of the field, and give Mahomes another option right there in the passing game.
All right, so real quick, just to kind of wrap up the Meat Locker mock, the final mock of the Meat Locker. 6 quarterbacks go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then Penix and Knicks. So you got 6 quarterbacks, no linebackers, no running backs, and a lot of good value on the O-line and corner.
Yeah, I would say that's kind of how it has played out in almost everybody's mock. I mean, there's Edgerrin Cooper, a linebacker that's got first-round talent, but I don't think he's going to go. Baltimore's not going to invest at the end of the first round in him. I know they lost Patrick Queen, but they got guys there. They've already played Roquan. So, safety isn't going to go in this draft. Ty Nubin and some of these guys are good players, ball skills, all that kind of stuff. I don't think they're going to go. They're second-round picks. Running backs, there's no running backs going to go in the first round. So I think it's top-heavy. We've got, 9 or 10 offensive linemen going. We've got 2 centers going. I think Zach Frazier's going to go at the top of the second round from West Virginia at center. So most of the good tackles have been taken up.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. I love it. The draft, all that.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Well, listen, we'll convene on Friday morning for your
Let's get Friday
take.
morning. Let's recap. Let's recap Thursday night.
Yeah.
First thing Friday morning, cuz.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Sure.
You're
Yeah.
the greatest, buddy.
Buddy.
Meat Locker. There it is. The great.
Put some steak on the grill. Let's go.
Let's go. I love
buddy.
it. There he is, the great Baldy, Brian Baldinger, and the Meat Locker mock draft. I love this stuff. I absolutely love it. All right. We got the clubhouse coming up next. But first, let's tell you about a couple things I want to talk about. You go first there, JP.
Yeah, I got you.
Since I've been yapping away.
Yeah, it was great stuff. Some good stuff. The
I
Meat
love it.
Locker mock draft. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's fun.
Let's
I
go.
love this stuff.
Love Baldy.
I love it.
What I don't love, cuz, is allergy season.
Yes.
Right? So
yes.
we are currently in allergy season. That's why we're telling you guys about our dear friends over at Rite Aid, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, listen, for a lot of people, we don't know exactly what we're looking for when we're talking about what causes allergies, right? It comes from pollen, from trees, grass, and weeds, and they're the primary cause of seasonal allergies. And if you're feeling sneezy, runny, and itchy, it might be the pollen from the allergies, which can make you feel pretty miserable. But there are ways to keep that or get that relief, I should say. And what are you looking for as far as symptoms? We're talking about itchiness, red and swollen or watery eyes. My fiance texted me this morning. She said her eyes are burning right now from those allergies. And what did I tell her? Head over to the local Rite Aid to get yourself some of that medication for those allergies, because it's not fun. But also, you got that runny nose. That's not fun either. You can get that brain fog that you hear cuz always talking about, headaches. You get some coughs as well. We got our executive producer Jules is running out of the studio trying to blow her nose. So it's not fun whatsoever here, ladies and gentlemen. So that's why Rite Aid's cooking you up here, guys. So make sure right now you sign up for the Rite Aid Rewards. You get emails with promotions sent right to you, and you can head on over to riteaid.com/rewards as well to get started there. And of course, make sure you guys check out some of their options here for the relief with allergies. Try the nasal rinse so you can get all that yucky stuff from your nose. You get it right on out with that nasal rinse. And of course, you can get some of the medications that they are offering here as well for allergy relief here. And of course, right now, head on over to your local Rite Aid, stock up on allergy relief, or catch up on immunizations for RSV, shingles, and more. Walk in or schedule a vaccine appointment at riteaid.com. Thank you, Rite Aid.
Thank you, JP. The nasal rinse, baby.
The nasal rinse.
I'm watching Julia's face. She's going like this.
She feels it.
You did a good job at the nasal rinse. I tell you, I love you. All right, so tomorrow, with the first pick in the sandwich draft, I'll take the Primo Italian Diablo. All right. That means I'm going to draft the Primo Diablo, the Italian Diablo, so I can watch the draft with some spice. I love the Italian Diablo at Primo Hoagies. You can get 32 incredible sandwiches at Primo's. We'll see how the draft goes. I'm sure, your turkey is a big one, right? The meatball is a sleeper. Like, just look at the menu. You're going to just love the menu, and it's great draft night food. Like, it's a great sports night tomorrow night where you have Sixers and then the draft. So it's just like, let's just go cavalcade of sandwiches, and you got to go with Primo's, man. Primo's in sports, I'm telling you. We've been doing that since 1992 when the first Primo opened on Rittner Street. And the amazing thing is, it's still the same. It's still the same incredible seeded roll now, baked in store every couple hours. They bake that incredible seeded roll in store. It's amazing, but the same quality. All right, no shrinkflation, none of that nonsense. Not with Primo's. It's the original. All right, go to primohoagies.com. There's over 90 area locations across the nation and growing nationwide. It's the true Philadelphia taste, man. Primo Hoagies. All right, become a Primo Rewards member. Get $2 off your Primo size hoagies every Wednesday. You'll say what I always say, not just a hoagie. No, it's a Primo. We'll come back, Cousins Clubhouse. I want to hear from you guys, your comments. Brock Bowers? Birds? Looking receiver? Oh, Dan Graziano. I would not put that past Howie. What do you think about the Meat Locker mock? What do you think about Sixers tomorrow night? And are we too quick just to dump everything on Embiid. Anthony Gargano Show, hanging with you every day, 9 to 11, right here on PHLY. Subscribe, like us, please. Share it with your friends. Show people how to get it. You can listen to the podcast. If you can watch it on YouTube, a million ways to check it out. All right, Spotify, you name it. The Anthony Gargano Show back in a moment with the Clubhouse. Welcome back. Anthony Gargano Show. We're presented by TrueMark Financial Credit Union. Check out the credit union difference, truemark.com/PHLY. JP, John Zapata. VG, violations Greg Caputo.
Yep.
That's the crew. It's the Clubhouse. As you know, we're working on some things. We'll be getting phone calls shortly and all kinds of stuff. We want to get through the draft, and then we'll be attacking those and kind of adding and building the show out, taking it on the road and doing some fun stuff. But it's the Clubhouse. We want to get through a lot of big stuff. Sixers, Knicks, and the draft. And VG, what are the people saying? Let's look at the comments first.
There were some early responses with you guys talking about drafting O-line in the first round and JP saying people would boo. And there are people who say they would boo. Rudy Poo says we need a corner. Randy, he can't get how he can get a guard or a tackle in the second or third. This guy Quirky, if it's not a cornerback, I'm booing. Also, Randy, the only O-line I'm not booing is J.C. Latham. So he's got some booers out there.
Wow.
The O-line
I know my
pick.
people, cuz.
Wow. I would be shocked. I mean, O-line, like, listen, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you.
It's not always sexy.
Well, I'm not going to lie to you. If, and I'm a defensive guy, but if somehow Brock Bowers, they moved up and got Brock Bowers, I think I would be like, wow. Like, I think when double down, go all in on offense, I would be fine with that. I know people would freak the F out, but I would go, wow, that would be fascinating to throw all that offense.
Yo, I mean, there's a Samoan offensive lineman I'd like to get because you can't go wrong with that. But Brock Bowers, reminiscent of a little like Aaron Hernandez Gronk offense.
There's a lot of true tight end stuff that now
How you going to guard that?
vogue.
How you guard that?
It's in vogue. Likely and Andrews in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Like, that would be interesting as all get out.
I mean, listen, you can't go wrong with too much offense, right? Especially in today's day and age in the NFL.
Right.
But like I told you before, I don't trust this organization drafting need, especially in the first round. So
But that's not need.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's why
Yeah.
I would like them to go on that route. Bowers or going with offensive line, thinking about the future here.
I like that you bring up trust because I got some names I want to read. Now, none of these are first rounders, but these are how we cornerback draft picks. Everyone wants them to go corner in the first round. Sidney Brown, Kaylee Ringo, Zach McPherson, Avonte Maddox, Sidney Jones, Rasul Douglas. No real game changers.
Are you out on Kelly Ringo?
I'll be
players.
honest
Couple
with you,
players.
that's not a bad resume because they've been taken late. Rasul Douglas winds
He's
up
much better since he left.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. I mean, but he's been in the league and playing big moments. That's not bad. And let's see about Ringo. I still have some hope about Ringo
yet.
And I want to piggyback this with a Hembo stat from ESPN this morning. He did the hit rate of by positions in the first round. Hit rate meaning you sign him to a second contract. Highest hit rate is center at 92%.
Wow. Okay.
Oh no, 62%. Offensive tackle 59%, guard 50%, cornerback comes in at 38%.
The big uglies
So,
up front.
The offensive line you hit more often with them. So
Yeah.
and with
do you have the whole thing? Which quarterback?
I don't have the whole
I'm
thing.
curious.
So with Stoutland you here, I'm good taking an offensive lineman.
Yeah, I just don't get a boo. Like, listen, I'm with you guys when it comes to that defense. And if, I'm looking and I'm there and the best spot is a corner, right? I can get, Kenyon Mitchell or like, I'll go, wow, that's impressive. Or one of the Bama kids. Not Kool-Aid I'm a little tepid on, but like I get it. O-line, I go, yeah, go fine.
I think a lot of the fans too look at the fact that this organization has drafted a corner in the first round since Troy Vincent. So I think a lot of them too are thinking like it's long overdue. But again,
Lito Shepard.
Oh, Lito, that's right.
They drafted Lito Shepard, Sheldon Brown, Michael Lewis.
It's a pretty good secondary.
Yeah,
that was a pretty good secondary for a couple of years. But yeah, I think for a lot of people, they think it's long overdue. They want the sexy.
Yeah, but that
corner.
doesn't mean anything. It's long overdue. Okay,
we need a linebacker. We're way overdue for a linebacker. Jerry Robinson, the 70s.
Like that doesn't mean anything. Like that's why you go. Just give me. Let me look at the board and I'll make my best.
Exactly
decision and see what I got. And if it presents itself, I got to tell you, Brock Bowers is a freak. Okay, he's a freak. He can run. He can block. He's an amazing weapon. I would not be against Brock Bowers. Some sort of trade if it worked out.
Yeah, I'm good with that. So quarterback was a 46% hit rate. And let me correct myself. Center is 92% hit rate with first round centers.
Yeah, well,
How about that?
you don't draft them. You got to be great to take a center. Now, Baldy's got two centers going at 20 and 21 in the Meat Locker mock. What'd you think of the Meat Locker mock?
It's always great. Anything with Baldy's great. But so center, 12 been taken, 1 miss. So that's pretty good. 11 out of 12 taken in the first round.
Yeah. No, that's very good.
It always come in the first round too. So like when you get the small amount of centers, you're able to pick one of them to hit that rate. That's pretty good.
Give me your most disappointing draft pick back in the day moment, actually presented by Rite Aid.
We're talking birds only, right?
Yes. Visit your local Rite Aid pharmacy, riteaid.com. So if we're going to piggyback off of that.
Yeah. I got to go with 2015, Marcus Smith. I mean, Chip Kelly really tried to outthink everybody with that
Traded
one.
back, then tried to trade forward. No, I remember
the athletic edge rusher.
That was a mess. A mess.
I always like corners and wide receivers. Freddie Mitchell, I thought he was going to be much better than he ended up being here. He had his moments, but yeah, the belt.
When he used to get his first catch in the third quarter, he used to just go up like. It's like, Freddie, we'll get open, bro.
I know.
Yeah,
no, that was
Fred Egg. Way better.
So did I.
He's not a total bust, but I was disappointed with that.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying.
We had been so starved for wide receivers.
That's right.
Imagine, like back then, like they had no wide receivers.
Fred Barnett might have been the last good one.
Right. Like up until that point. And then remember, Donovan was young and all he had was Chad Lewis at tight end or Deuce out of the backfield. Westbrook out of the backfield.
You were a James Thrash guy.
Right? No, I mean, and so when they draft Freddie Mitchell, we have high hopes.
Right. Let's remember that.
And then, of course, the Carolina game comes and the receivers get punked by the corners of Carolina. And that's when the TO comes about.
Yeah.
That was it. That's your back of the day moment.
That's it.
Best and worst of the evening. I'll start with you. Let's go best, JP.
All right, let's go best. So I'm going to go a little pop culture here because I'm sure you guys are Marco Robbie fans.
Right? Yes. Yep.
So there's a video going viral right now where Marco Robbie found a fan who was deaf. And so she put down the paper and the pen that he gave to her to autograph so she can speak to him in ASL. And I thought that was freaking awesome. Obviously, Marco Robbie's super talented.
That's awesome.
Super
I love
beautiful.
To hear that. Yeah.
But to go out of the way.
No, I love stories like that. I think that's lovely.
Marco Robbie's the best. Yeah,
that's awesome.
I'm going to go the total opposite. I don't know if we can play, but Rasheed Wallace calling out Tobias.
Can we play
Harris
that?
is
Here
the
we go.
best
All
thing
right.
I've
Give me one
This
second.
is the
I'll
best.
hook it up.
Is it a
All right.
not safe for
All right,
work?
listen.
Earmuffs if you have the kids
if
around?
you got kids, I got to do disclaimer because I'm a big believer in the kids and they watch the show.
Earmuffs.
Some foul language. So make sure you put your hands over the ears.
All right, here we go.
I can't really blame Buddy though. You know what I mean? Cause he just got here. But I can motherfucking blame Tobias with his shit though. Yeah, and if you listening, yeah, we mad with you too, dog. You gotta step that shit the fuck up. Yo, you getting all that bread. Yo, we need more than 5 for 12 for 10 points.
Hey, he had 10 points on 4 for 11 shooting.
Hey,
thank you.
Hey, same. 4 for 11, 5 for 12.
For
same.
posterity,
But
he was 4 for 11.
look, listen, but we need more than that from him. You know what I'm saying? The whole thing is here's the whole key how you step up, right? It's not a matter of, okay, I had a bad shooting game tonight, so now I got to go out here game 2 and prove that I can shoot. And now you might shoot horrendous again.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yo, you got to make that difference.
How about Rasheed?
Preach, Rasheed, preach.
That mother father. Come on.
Oh, he's got the Phillies hat on.
I know, I
He's
love it.
saying we. He didn't even play here. He's
I love
saying we.
Sheed. Yeah, I got to tell you, I'm a Sheed fan.
Calling Tobias out.
Yeah, that was fun stuff. All right, give me the worst.
All right, let's go with the worst. I'm going to go with the NCAA. So if you heard this morning, Reggie Bush got his Heisman back. It's been almost 20 years since he won it, and obviously we all know what happened. But I'm going to go with the NCAA. Don't think they should have taken it away from him to begin with. But it's cool to see that Reggie Bush gets his Heisman because I'll be honest with you guys, I didn't watch a lot of college football growing up, but that 2005 season, I have never seen a performance like Reggie Bush from week 1 to the national championship game. He was fantastic, and glad he got it back.
Yeah, deserving. He was unbelievable.
No, that run.
He might be the greatest
Oh, my
college
God.
athlete I've
Yeah,
ever
It was
seen.
insane.
Football.
The Stanford run where he reverse
that
field,
was
like
ridiculous.
insane.
Mine was the Phils. You know, they fell back to what we saw early on. Just, I mean, I don't expect the pitching, but the defense looked pretty bad. Like, they just had a flat game. But
I mean, they were on a
Third
roll.
listen, you asked me the worst of the night. They were terrible last night. They stunk.
I agree. You're right on. You're right. Yeah, I agree. I'm with you. By the way, boys, Pacers beat Doc last night.
Yeah.
Watch a little of that.
All right. Minnesota's taking a stranglehold in that series. Dallas gets back into their series, which is a great one with the Clippers.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other news, Tom Brady, there's a lot of steam around his comeback.
You know,
man,
these guys just like to be relevant.
Yeah.
They like their
So
names
you think
out
it's
there.
a play?
I think
You
it's
think
a
it's
play.
a play?
I think
Yeah.
I think he's playing onto it, but like I think like what's wrong with an old man wanting to stay in shape? Like he's taking care of himself. That's
No,
what
he's-
I
he's
look
saying
at.
he's
There's
coming
talk-
back, maybe.
There's talk not just staying
I
in
think
shape, that
it's
he's
steam.
coming back.
Well,
Coming back.
What I saw was a lot of the workout videos. Of
I love for him to
people
come back.
quote-tweeting
I
it.
got what's the problem?
Coming back.
I would like for him to buy into the Raiders and be their quarterback. An owner player. I want to see that.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be great.
Why do you want to hate?
for Tommy Boy.
Whatever. Like just him. Like the idea of him coming back. Like go ahead.
I mean, for me personally, like it does feel a little bit like Brett Favre. Like when Brett Favre was like, "I'm retired."
So what if he comes back?
Retired.
But by the way, when Favre, the first year in Minnesota was unbelievable, and then of course he's Brett Favre, so he throws the interception.
Yeah, that is true. But no, I think for a lot of people, they think about all the Super Bowls he won. There's a lot of fan bases that he really scarred for life.
Oh, I know, but
Think those Falcons fans want to see him back in the league?
Listen, I'd like to just say that as a football fan
For sure.
to see if he came back and whether he had success or not. Like whether, listen, you're pushing 50, you get planted.
Yeah, where's he at?
Monday's
50?
hurt.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's probably better than a third of the league, probably 10th quarterbacks, I would think.
Yes.
I'm sure Denver could use him badly. You
Like,
see that quarterback room?
You know,
That's terrible.
All right, let's bring it back home because the game's tomorrow night.
Yeah, well, you mentioned the basketball. I just wanted to know where you think, and Doc Rivers, The Athletic asked 127 basketball players what coach other than their own they'd rather play for. Spoelstra came in number 1.
Yeah, I can see that.
But Doc Rivers came in 6th. I was surprised at that.
Wow.
I feel like it's either you love him or you hate him.
He's been around the whole league, so maybe a lot of guys' interaction.
What range do you think Nick Nurse comes in this?
I'll say 6 to 10.
It's gotta be top 15.
He's not in the top 20.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah. And it only goes to 20, and he's not
He
there.
didn't make it?
He did not even get
he's been at least
2.3% of the vote.
Nightingale didn't make it?
No, let me double check. Nope. Pop was number 2.
Oh.
Give me the top 5. Kerr.
Spoelstra, Pop, Kerr, Tyrone Lue, and
Tyronn Lue.
Michael Malone. Doc Rivers, number 6.
We could have had Lou.
Wow, that's unbelievable. The Nurse does not make the top 20.
Wow. And they also asked these guys, who's the greatest player of all time, Michael Jordan or LeBron?
They went LeBron, right?
There's all players. What do they say?
Jordan's at 45.9%. LeBron's at 42.1%. Somewhere on the side, I guess. But it's the closest it's ever been. The younger the league gets, the more
Wow.
points.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's kind of the generation thing.
It's all Jordan.
What'd you say?
It's all Jordan.
Yes.
It's all Jordan.
Yes. MJ. Yes. Agreed.
Oh, how do you say, you want to do real quick? Passionk?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Let me hear it.
Can you play that, Andrew?
All right. So
How do you
wait,
say-
wait.
Give me one
How do
second.
you say
This is fun because I didn't know this.
either Passyunk Avenue
Yeah.
or Passyunk Avenue? Now, my cousin Joey, has a store on Passyunk Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
That's
think
how I would
Passyunk.
say it. Right? Like, that's how we've always said it.
I've always called it Passyunk.
Here's like 4 different options or 5.
Where'd you find this at?
Philly Inquirer.
All right. Let me hear it.
1 second.
Passyunk.
Well, I know people
thought
say
you just go to the
Passyunk.
Avenue.
I've never heard
Well,
of
we
it
used to
called
always call it the Avenue. Let's go to the Avenue.
Unless you're from out of town, you go Passyunk or Passunk.
All right, should play. We should be good. Let's see.
Passyunk.
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 What?
Passayunk.
Nah, it was always Passyunk Avenue.
Yeah.
Passyunk.
Right?
Yeah.
That's how.
That's how
Is
I
there
grew
a
up.
correct way of saying it? Or?
Yeah,
Oh,
Passyunk.
okay, so we're good.
Or
Otherwise,
it's probably
otherwise you're an out of
Passyunk
towner
Avenue.
or a newbie.
Yeah.
Like one of those hipsters moving down to South Philly.
From Brooklyn.
All right. That's going to do it for the show. We'll be back tomorrow. Big day, right? Draft and the day of Sixers game 3. And I want to see a Trey Turner moment. I want to see a resurrection of the Sixers from the fan base. We have the power. So we'll discuss it tomorrow. Everybody, have a great day. All right? We love you. Be careful. And we'll see you in the morning.
We all silly like the mayor.